What's up, y'all? This is Ty. I am here to review Season 2, Episode 8 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And tonight's episode is titled, A House is Not a Home When There's No One There to Hold You Tight and no one there you can kiss goodnight. Let me stop bugging out, y'all. It's just titled A House is Not a Home. But you know, any chance I get to sing something, I'm going to sing it. That's just how I do. But anyway, before I get into this episode, let me give a shout out to my lovely subscribers. Y'all hold me down in the comment section. You keep this channel going and growing. I do it for y'all. I do it for y'all. So shout outs to folks like Simply Be Yourself 100, Lamont Simpson, Savannah Rivers or more, Quentin Baptiste, the R.C. Kroger, Jake U, Dominique, and all the rest of you lovely, wonderful people that hold me down in the comment section. I do appreciate you. Now, with all that being said, let's get right down to this episode. So it starts off with Rock going over to Corinne's mama's house to confront her because you know this cougar, she's been laying it down with Kanan, and we found out this is what she do. She go around messing with the young boys and all this other stuff. So Corinne told Rock last week, and I had a funny comment here on last week's video. Who made that comment? Quentin Baptiste. And they pretty much felt like Corinne was hating. So Quentin said, nah, Corinne lame for snitching to Rock about Kanan, clapping her mama cheeks. She hating. I laugh out loud. Come on now. Quentin. That was real funny. I thought that was real funny, but you filed for that. She ain't hating. Would you want your mother or your parent? Like, I put myself in those shoes. I would not want my daddy banging out my girlfriend. So I would have told too. I would have told it too. Like, come on, that's crazy. So anyway, that was funny though, Quentin. Shout outs to Quentin. But what really got me was, you see how, what's her mother's name? Paramore, whatever her name is, Palomar. You see how Palomar was trying to play it off? She was like, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh no, I would never do that. No. Rock put that gun to her neck. Like I said, ho, stay away from my son. I thought that scene was funny. Now, Famous caught all of this. Famous noticed all of this. And he saw it. He's like, yo, and she walked by him. She said, old school. So of course, Famous tells Kanan when Kanan comes to his house, and Famous hasn't been in school in 2 weeks, and he tells Kanan, yo, your mother came here, this and that. And that kind of pissed Kanan off. But did you also notice that Famous went through Kanan's bag and found the DNA test thing, and he was asking him questions about that. And he tried to play it off like, oh, I didn't go through your bag because of that. I thought it was my bag, and I was looking up on schoolwork. Really, dude? You haven't been to school in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You wasn't looking for no schoolwork. You was being nosy. That's what I think. He was being nosy. But anyway, that didn't sit well with Kanan at all. So Kanan, we see later on in the episode, goes to his mother when, meets up with his mother, that beautiful new house that she just bought. And they have a conversation. And he's pissed off. And he asked her, why did you confront her like that? And she said, that's what I'm supposed to do. He said, you should have come to me. She said, nah, you're a child. I'm totally on Rock's side on this one. Finally, I'm on her side about something because, she grimy. He said, you're a child. She told him, you're a child, and this is my job to protect you. And you feel like it's okay right now, but she does this to a lot of young guys, and it ain't going to happen to mine no more. Now, we also got to realize in this episode, Scrappy's mother confronted Kanan and told Kanan, your mother ain't doing enough about this. My son Scrappy ain't killed himself, this, that, and the third. So in his conversation with his mother, he brought that up too. He's pissed off with Rock. And then Rock says to him, well, listen, you could come to me if there's something you got to get off your chest. Why don't you get it off? And all he could muster up to say was, nice house. And he left. So he don't want to stay with her. He wants to go stay with Famous. He don't want to be bothered. Meanwhile, it looks like Jukebox is having some issues too. She goes to her mother's house where she thought, it was going well, it was going so well. And then her mother has an intervention for her. And what is this intervention? They're trying to pray the gay away. Basically, this is one of those one of those pray the gay away sessions that they had. And what a scene that was. And she's like, baby, this is gonna work for you. They sat her in the chair and they made her watch a man and woman having sex and all this, and then the guy was telling her about the sins and get these demons out. He probably sliding with a man on the side too. It always be those ones that do that. But he's like, if they had this ceremony, this pray to gay away ceremony, basically, and he's hitting her, and this further traumatized her. But what a scene, and shout outs to the young lady, the actress that plays Laverne, aka Jukebox, because that was awesome. That the scene was powerful. Seeing that, you could see it in her face, the anguish and the disgust. And this makes her now totally disgusted with Kenya. And we see later in the episode her burning clothes because she don't want nothing to do with her mother now, because her mother's trying to change who she is, because her mother told her, you got to get them demons out of you. We gonna get them out of you, and clearly that ain't work. So I was wondering what they were gonna do with this Kenya character and how they were gonna move forward with this and what was gonna happen. So it looks like the situation with this whole pray to gay away ceremony, Jukebox ain't feeling that, and this just allows her to bond with her father. Marvin comes up and he sees her in the back of the house putting clothes on the grill. They have a conversation. And then when they confront Kenya about it, then he tells Kenya, you talking about sin. Well, was it a sin when you left us? Was it a sin then when you left us? Chasing after some ball player and some career. And then Kenya smacked him, and Marvin was ready. And Jukebox came up and said, Dad, no. And that was a great scene right there. Another great scene between Kenya, Marvin, and Jukebox. That was a powerful scene. That's what you call great acting, folks. I enjoyed that scene too. And then the scene where Marvin is trying his best to comfort his daughter, and he says, I'm gonna hit you back. And he was like, I shouldn't have said it, because hit is a slang for I'm gonna call you, but he shouldn't have said it like that. He's like, dang, Dad. But then she's kind of feeling him, and she understood, she saw where he was coming from. I thought that was another great scene between the two of them, where he was basically apologizing for what he did, because last season, he choked her out, basically. So I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that moment between the two of them. So their relationship looks like it's going to be repaired. I don't know what's going to happen with her and Kenya, because, after that ceremony, that is not the way you do your child. Like, if somebody's hitting your child, come on. That was a bit much. That's kind of traumatizing. But it's great because we're getting to see what makes that character, the Jukebox character, tick, and what makes her, that was interesting right there. Really good. Speaking of Marvin has some more trouble on his hands, because the Italian dude that he hired, which is the son of Sal, Marco, that he hired to do the job up there to get rid of Tony, that was a total disaster. He's got to try to fix that. And another funny scene, the guy who was his partner, Dominic, a.k.a. Pinocchio, shout outs to Savannah Rivers, because Savannah Rivers called the dude Pinocchio because the actor playing that character did have a big nose. You funny for that, Savannah. That was funny. But listen, don't... Y'all be leaving some funny stuff in the comments. That was funny. So Dominic, a.k.a. Pinocchio, is in the hospital. The Italians meet up with him. He's telling him, I thought, Sal, that this was your job. I thought you arranged this. And he said, well, who told you to do this job? Where'd y'all get this from? And he told him, he said, this was that nigger bitch's brother, talking about Marvin. It was that nigger bitch's brother. And he's like, but I'm going to make it up to you. No, you're not, because Sal made sure that you're going to be going on over the glory yourself, because they killed him, and they ended up killing Dominique in the hospital. Now, Sal says he wants a meeting with Rock. That's what he basically said, that he wanted a meeting with Rock. And I was like, okay, what's going to go on with that? Meanwhile, and we're going to get back to that. Meanwhile, let's go over to Marvin and Lou and his issues. You see him confront the guy. I think that guy's a DJ or whatever. Say, hey, Why isn't my song being played? That song's supposed to be played. And the guy says something slick about, well, maybe she could come up and persuade Lulu, pull out that gun, put that gun in dude's mouth. I was like, oh, the song is going to get played. And it's going to play on rotation heavily. You're going to play Aziza's song. So, I mean, after you get a gun put in your mouth and threatened, I think you're going to put the song on the playlist too. And of course, they put the song on the playlist. Aziza, that's her name, right? She's happy. They end up having, her and Lou end up having sex. She's like, you know, at first he was like, I ain't like, because she said something about, why don't you, she wanted to have sex or whatever. And he was like ignoring her at first. And she's like, I don't get you. Most guys would kill to be with me. He said, I'm not most guys. But then when they heard the song playing, and then she was like, well, now we got to have sex. That's when they, you know, got it on. I think that was a turn on for both of them. So an interesting story. Let's see where that's going to lead now that the song is on the radio. What is that going to lead? Where's that going to lead them? Now, let's move on down to Detective Burke and Detective Howard. Detective Howard lets the captain know, listen, Burke is doing way too much. He's digging into my business. What is that about? The captain said he's going to speak to her because also Burke has some issues with Nicole's parents pressing the issue and trying to involve her in the reason that Nicole died and saying that Detective Burke had something to do with the giving the drugs. We know she didn't, but you know, that's what the parents are alleging. So on top of that, the captain speaks to her, tells Burke, listen, you need to stop. I told you to stop. Now you're digging into Detective Howard. It stops now. Chill out. But of course, Burke doesn't listen. I'm predicting something will happen to Burke because she's doing too much. Now, right after your boss done told you mind your business and stop it, now you're in the supermarket confronting Rock about trying to get some information out of Rock. And Rock said, listen, I ain't talking to you, basically. If it ain't about these apples that I'm getting in the store, I don't want to hear nothing from you. Like, get out of here. Burke, you're doing way too much. I think it's kind of ridiculous that she is doing that. I just thought, Crazy, crazy, crazy. But all of this stuff, you know, with Rock that Rock has done and all this it causes Kanan to be upset with her. He's mad with her because, you know, he's got this thing with, did you have something to do with, you know, you're not helping out Scrappy. You messed up my little old auntie / girlfriend, my sugar cougar girlfriend. You got rid of that. It's just too many things with you. So he don't want to stay with her. He tries to go stay with Famous. That doesn't work. So he ends up staying at his daddy's house, staying at Detective Howard's house, and they have a conversation. And then when he gets up in the morning, he leaves out through the back. He even had a conversation with Jukebox, and she told him, your mother loves you. But I thought it was powerful how he said, Rock does things that are real foul and messed up. And she uses me as, oh, I'm doing it out of love for you. I thought that was powerful too. So really good on that too. And now we go back to the Italians. They want to hold a meeting with Rock alone. And she's like, what is this about? So you see that the meeting that they're going to have, and, you know, they're having a conversation. That was a funny scene where they talk about when it was Marvin, Lou, and all of them. And they're talking about why the Italians want to have this conversation, and Marvin is just looking like, trying not to say nothing. What's his name is like, you know why. Like, come on. And basically, when she says that, she's like, oh, no, no, no. So it was crazy because now, what's his name? When she goes to meet, it was Neek. Neek who was like, yeah, you know why. You know what it is. Come on, dude. And they put two and two together. The whole dentist being killed and all. That was, he sent Sal's son to do that hit and all that. Rock was like, now I got to meet with this dude. So she meets with Sal, and Sal is basically like, is his name Sal? I don't know. She meets with him. He's like, so listen, you got to kill your brother. He got to go because my son is dead. And he made these demands or whatever. And I like how Rock told him, she said, no, that's not how this worked. That's not karma. He had a job. He screwed up the job. Rest in peace to him. But no, that's not what we do in here. And he was like, well, who do you think you are? You try. She said, listen, I don't do things for other people. I'm doing things to show how I roll. I like her comeback to him, which she pretty much, I'm paraphrasing now, but she said, she ain't got nothing to prove. She's just doing her. That's who she is. And she told me, she said, listen, your son had a job. My brother hired him. He effed up the job. He got paid for it, but too bad, so sad. So, you know, the Italian thing, Sal ain't going for that. He's like, okay, you know, he said, rest in peace to your brother. And he said, rest in peace to your family, too. So now we see Marvin going over to the therapist that helped him. And it was like he trying to meet, I need to talk to you. Renee is her name. I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, she's happy to see him and all this stuff. And then you hear, hey, Marvin. And, you know, the Italians shoot him. And that's where the episode ends. Now, the question is, was Marvin shot? Is Marvin hurt? Is Marvin dead? We got to find out next week, right? Did Renee get shot? Is she hurt? Is she dead? We'll find that all out next week. But I thought this was a really good episode. I mean, the show is really good. I thought this was a really good episode. I'm predicting that something's going to happen to Detective Burke because she's doing way too much. And she's becoming annoying. Something's going to happen to her. I'm curious on how Detective Howard and Kanan's relationship is going to go also. But that's all I have for now. Tell me your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.